Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly Haikyuu to the top discussion videos. And today we're here to talk all about episode 9, Everybody's Night. But before we get into the video proper, I do, as always, have to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Clockwork Cams, at FireOtaku845, at A Snapshots, and at Clear Chicken. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Haikyuu video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Now then, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing more enjoyable this season than Haikyuu. It continues to arguably save this winter season from its own goodness. The season is good, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good shows, but Haikyuu's the only, great show, in my opinion, and that might start some drama, but Haikyuu is the one that consistently gets me yeah, even if it's not necessarily hi, it's just this sort of yeah, solid character development. I don't know. It just continues to impress. Not to say that stuff like My Hero isn't impressing, it very much is, but it's just that My Hero was in the prime of its season, during the autumn season, you know what I'm saying? This season it's been a little bit less and more just good. Everything this season has been good, but Haikyuu has been great this season. And I gotta say, this week there are two things that I really want to talk about. The first is, of course, the third years, since they seem to be the ones taking center stage this week, and the other, of course, being the arrival on the Orange Court, and I just got chills saying that, but I want to talk about the third year stuff first, because that's going to lead us nicely into the arrival at the Orange Court. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the third years, who we see here basically all gathering together and heading up to the nearest shrine, basically trying to ask the gods for some kind of luck, basically just hoping and praying for some sort of good luck, some sort of guidance to watch over them as they get into the spring tournament. And ironically enough, it opens with this sort of dream nightmare thing for Daiichi, and he's all panicky about it. And Suga and Asahi, they're there, but of the third years, it's more so Daiichi and Kyoko that really take center stage this week. And that's, in my opinion, that's really good. Because it feels like Kyoko, we love her, obviously. She's a character everybody loves. I friggin' love Kyoko, but she's a character who we don't get to spend a whole ton of time with, so it was nice to have an episode where she took, center stage, sort of. She shares that stage with Daiichi, who opens by having a nightmare about the basketball team taking over the volleyball team's court, which was admittedly kind of funny and a little bit weird, but it made sense as the episode went on. And Suga and Asahi, they're concerned as well, but they're a little bit less, I don't know, they seem less phased by it than the other two. Asahi is too excited to watch his own highlight reel, and Suga's trying to study to try to keep his heart rate down. You know, he's trying to keep, study and keep Suga calm, so Suga's gonna decide to study instead. But it's interesting that we focus so heavily on Daiichi, because Daiichi is usually shown to be the leader. He's the reliable one, he's usually the calm one, the one with the most level head in a situation, but we see him, he opens the episode by having this weird nightmare, and he basically, I think the way he internalizes it is that he is nervous that everything he's done is probably gonna fall apart if this doesn't go well. And I think he's starting to finally feel the weight on his shoulders, being the leader of the team that took down Shiratorizawa. Being the leader of Karasuno is actually starting to weigh a little bit on Daiichi's shoulders. And that's interesting, because again, Daiichi's this character who we've all just sort of leaned on and relied on. And so it's nice to see him sort of shaken a little bit. And he actually ends up meeting up with Ikijiri, who basically reassures him hey, you're Daiichi. You're gonna be just fine. You're the captain of one of the volleyball teams going to the All Japan Spring Tournament. You're fine. You know what I mean? It's be nervous, sure, but don't forget that you promised me that you were gonna win for all of us. So don't let me down. And for some reason, Daiichi finds reassurance in that. I would have felt like that was a, oh yeah, no pressure type of moment, but I guess Daiichi works best under pressure. As for Kyoko, who, again, like I said, it's nice to see her sort of come out of her shell a bit. And that's, I think, the most important thing, is that throughout this entire episode, while the other third years are a little bit nervous and trying to keep their nerves in check, Kyoko's not nervous at all. Like, our girl is 100% like, no, we got this. Like, she even tells Yachi at one point, like, once we win tomorrow, let's come back to this bath together. Like, and it's just cute as shit to have this moment where Kyoko is like, you know what? I'm able to open up to you because I feel like I've never gotten to talk to anybody else the way that I talk to you when she's talking to Yachi. And it's because it all basically comes out when Yachi basically prods some character development out of Kyoko, because she says, like, you're always wearing, like, the leggings even in the summer, like, isn't that hot? And she's like, well, it's because I have scars on my legs. And we hear this whole thing about how when she was on the track team, she couldn't quite clear the hurdles, and her arms are okay, but her legs would get all scratched up. And Yachi's like, those are like those are badges of honor, and it was really sweet. And if you didn't ship Kyoko and Yachi before, you might just ship it now. I don't like full out ship it, but I can see why people should. I'd give this like a B. It's cute as shit, and it's just nice to have like Kyoko break out of her shell a little bit. And judging by the PV, it looks like we might get some more Kyoko stuff later, so could be kind of interesting. I'm excited for more of that. As for the rest of the episode, my friends, it is the arrival on the Orange Court. It feels like this has been such a long time coming. Going to the spring tournament feels like this is, I don't know, there's just something great about seeing Karasuno arrive, and immediately they're sort of like in this cluster of other teams, like just surrounded by other volleyball teams. And in the cluster, they're seeing familiar faces like the gang from Fukurodani, faces like the gang from Nekoma, like all these familiar faces. We even get to see people like Komori and Sakusa again. Sakusa is of course hiding in the background because he's a big germaphobe, which like relatable these days. But like it was just kind of it was just sort of like fun and exciting to see this many characters who we've grown to know over the course of time, and new faces like Komori and Sakusa, who are new, but they still, like, because Furudate is such a damn expert at crafting interesting characters, even though they're new, I was still, like, excited to see them. I'm like, look at my man Sakusa hiding out in the background. Stuff like that. And seeing, like, Nekoma and Karasuno, of course, bump into each other, and they have that, like, and Daiichi and Kuro have that sort of, like, face-off. It was just gold. I expect Karasuno versus Nekoma. At least, I don't expect, but I hope to see that match, and I hope it's dope. In fact, I don't hope it's dope. If it happens, it's gonna be dope, because I trust this team. Like, I trust the gang over at Production IG to deliver, like, a dope spring tournament. I am so damn excited for this tournament. You guys have no idea. Even the way that we end the episode, right? Our gang walks out onto the Orange Court, and there's this like orchestral version of Phoenix by Burnout Syndrome playing. Like in universe, they're playing Phoenix by Burnout Syndromes, and it sounds so damn cool hearing it in this like orchestral, like, yes! This like hype version of it. It's so great. And then we zoom out and we see the full scope of the spring tournament, just all these teams, and Karasuno is just one part of a huge collection of volleyball teams, and it got me so hyped, because this did the same thing for me, and a lot of people are about to roll their eyes, but this did the same thing for me that Dive to the Future did, only Dive to the Future arguably is on a bigger scale because it's on the world stage, but this still feels huge. Like the fact that Karasuno is now standing on this grand stage, the likes of which they have never, that our team, our version of Karasuno hasn't stood on before. And you can feel, like, the weight of that. Because even Hinata's like, this is where the little giant played. And, of course, Kageyama's like, well, technically not really. But, like, and, like, of course, Hinata's like, shut up! Let me have this! It's just, for the same reasons that I loved it in Dive to the Future, seeing these characters who we've come to love and root for, our team, standing on this grand stage, it's the same way I feel here. Just seeing our boys on this grand stage, it just does the heart good. With that said, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts here, and you already know what grade I'm gonna give this. This is an easy Earl Grey tier episode, just top of the top, Haikyuu to the top of this top tier. Did that make any sense? No. Are these supposed to? No. And that's it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then be sure to go ahead and hit that like button and leave a comment down below, because it all pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm, which helps me out a ton. So if you choose to do so, kudos to you. And if you'd like to go that one step further to help the channel out, then go ahead and check out some of the mugs listed just under this video from our Teespring store. That is super appreciated. Or if you want to help out the channel more regularly, of course you can check out our Patreon, like these lovely people that you see before you. And speaking of our patrons, I would like to give a big shout out to those of you in the Earl Grey tier. Izevi, Andrew, Branson, Calvin, Crowbar of Irony, Daniel, Digger the Fox, Dominic, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria, Marshall B, Mater, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Steven, Sakochi, Tristan, and Veridin. Thanks so much to all of you in the Earl Grey tier, as well as those of you in the Orange Pico tier. And if you too would like to join our T-Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. Once again, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a great day, and until next time, you stay classy, AniTube, and wash your dang hands.